Can you pleasure me first? No human has ever touched me, alien's shocking confession. John Miller's head pounded as he pushed himself up from the smoking control panel of his spacecraft. Warning lights flashed across the cabin. The emergency landing on this unknown planet hadn't gone as planned. His exploration mission to search for habitable worlds beyond Earth's solar system had taken an unexpected turn when his ship's engines failed. Computer, status report, John called out, wincing as he touched a cut on his forehead. Hull integrity at 63%. Life support systems operational. Communication systems damaged. Engine core offline, the computer's voice reported in its emotionless tone. John sighed and looked out the viewport. The landscape outside was strange but beautiful, tall purple plants that looked like trees swayed in the breeze under a pale blue sky. The air seemed breathable according to his instruments, but he'd need to be careful. Computer, run a full system diagnostic. I'm going outside to assess our situation, John said as he grabbed his emergency pack and weapon. Standard protocol for unknown worlds, always be prepared. The air outside was warm and smelled sweet, like cinnamon and something he couldn't identify. The ground beneath his boots was soft and springy, covered in something that resembled moss but with a silvery sheen. John walked a short distance from his ship, taking samples and scanning the environment. His scanner beeped. Life forms detected, it announced. John froze, his hand moving to his weapon. That's when he saw them, figures moving between the purple tree-like plants. They were tall, at least 7 feet, with slender bodies that seemed to shimmer as they moved. Their skin was a pale blue color that shifted slightly in the sunlight. Hello. John called out, hoping his universal translator would convert his words to something they could understand, if they were intelligent. The figures stopped moving. Then, slowly, one of them approached. As it got closer, John could see it was clearly female in form, with large, entirely black eyes that reflected his own image back at him. Her face was humanoid but with delicate patterns across her cheeks that seemed to glow faintly. You are. Not from here, she said, the translator in John's ear converting her musical sounds into English. No, I'm not. My name is John Miller. I'm from Earth. My ship crashed, and I need repairs. The alien woman tilted her head, studying him with obvious curiosity. Earth. We have heard stories of your kind. I am Zara. John relaxed slightly. You know about humans? Yes. Your kind has visited stars near our system. We observe. We learn, Zara said, moving closer to John. Her movements were graceful, almost like she was floating above the ground. You will come with me. Our elders will want to meet you. John hesitated. My ship, I can't leave it unprotected. It will be safe. No one will touch it without permission. That is our way, Zara assured him. With reluctance, John agreed to follow her. As they walked through the strange forest, Zara kept glancing at him. There was something in her gaze that made John uncomfortable, not threatening, but intense, as if she was trying to solve a puzzle. The alien settlement was hidden among the purple trees, structures that blended so perfectly with the environment that John would have walked right past them if Zara hadn't led him directly to them. Other aliens emerged, watching him with the same curiosity. Wait here, Zara told him before disappearing into one of the larger structures. John stood awkwardly as the aliens maintained their distance, whispering among themselves. Their language sounded like wind chimes and flowing water. Zara returned minutes later. The elders have agreed to meet you tomorrow. Tonight, you will rest in our guest dwelling. She led him to a small but comfortable structure. Inside was simple furniture that seemed to be grown rather than built, emerging from the floor itself. I will return with food for you, Zara said, turning to leave. Thank you for your help, John called after her. Zara paused at the doorway and turned back to face him. I have a question for you, human John. What is it? Her black eyes seemed to grow deeper as she stepped closer to him. Can you satisfy me first? No one has ever touched me, not in the way I need. John's breath caught in his throat. What do you mean? Zara's expression was unreadable. Your kind has something we need. Something only humans can provide. What exactly are you asking for? John's hand moved subtly toward his weapon. Knowledge, she whispered. Pure knowledge, transferred directly. Our species has never experienced the human way of connecting minds. John frowned. I don't understand. Humans don't connect minds. But you do, Zara insisted. Through your stories, through your words. You share experiences in ways we cannot. My people believe it is dangerous. But I. She hesitated, looking around as if afraid of being overheard. I have been curious all my life. No one of my kind has ever engaged in this mind touch with humans. The intensity in her eyes made John uncomfortable. Was this a cultural misunderstanding or something more sinister? Why tell me this now? John asked. Because, Zara said, her voice dropping to a whisper, the elders do not truly welcome you. They fear you. They agreed to meet only to decide what to do with you. I can help you repair your ship, but first, I need to understand humans truly. I need this connection. Before John could respond, there was a sound outside. Zara quickly moved away from him. Consider what I've said. I will return with food, she said, her normal tone returning. But remember, we don't have much time. As she left, John sat heavily on the strange furniture. What had he gotten himself into? Was Zara telling the truth about the elders? And what exactly did she mean by connection and mind touch? One thing was certain, this mission had just become much more complicated than a simple crash landing. John paced in the small dwelling, his mind racing with questions about Zara's strange request. The walls around him seemed to pulse gently, as if the structure itself was breathing. The alien architecture made him feel even more disoriented. A soft chime announced Zara's return. She entered carrying what looked like a tray of colorful objects, presumably food. You must be hungry, she said, placing the tray on a surface that grew out of the floor to meet it. John eyed the strange offerings cautiously. These are safe for humans. Yes. We have studied your biology. These contain nutrients compatible with your system. She gestured to different items. This gives energy. This helps healing. This provides pleasure to senses. John carefully tried a small piece of something blue. It tasted like honey and mint. It's good, he admitted. Now, about what you said earlier. Zara's eyes darted to the doorway before she spoke in a hushed tone. My people, the Liriani, we communicate differently than humans. We share thoughts through light patterns in our skin. She demonstrated, the markings on her face glowing and shifting. But this is limited. We cannot share deep emotions or complex ideas this way. And humans can? John asked, confused. Through your stories, your writings, your art, you transfer experiences. You make others feel what you have felt, see what you have seen. Her eyes widened with excitement. This is forbidden knowledge among my people. Our elders believe such intense sharing would destroy our minds. John began to understand. You're talking about culture, about entertainment. That's not mind reading, Zara. But it is a form of mind touch, she insisted. Your stories have power. The elders intercepted human transmissions years ago. Those who viewed them became changed. They questioned our ways. The elders banned all human culture after that. This explained her fascination, but not her urgency. Why do you need this so badly? Zara's markings pulsed with what John recognized as anxiety. My people are dying, John. Not physically, but spiritually. We have lost our creativity, our passion. I believe human connection can save us. And the elders disagree. They fear change. They especially fear humans. She leaned closer. They won't help repair your ship. They plan to study it, learn its secrets, then destroy it, and you. John's stomach tightened. When? After tomorrow's meeting. That's why I came to you first. Her markings flashed with determination. If you share your human stories with me, I can help you escape. John considered his options. He was stranded on an alien planet, his communications were down, and apparently the local leadership wanted him dead. Trusting Zara might be his only choice. What exactly do you want me to share? Relief washed over Zara's features. Tell me about Earth. About love, fear, hope, emotions as humans experience them. And in return, I'll show you something important. For the next hour, John described Earth to Zara, its oceans, mountains, cities, and people. He told her about human relationships, about music and art, about the simple joy of walking in the rain. As he spoke, Zara's skin patterns changed continuously, absorbing his words like a physical thing. This is overwhelming, she finally said, her voice trembling. So many feelings. So much life. Is that what you wanted? John asked. Yes, but also no. Zara stood suddenly. Come with me. Now, while everyone rests. John followed her outside. The settlement was quiet under the planet's 3 moons, casting everything in an eerie purple glow. Zara led him through the trees, moving silently. After 20 minutes of walking, they reached a clearing. In the center stood a structure unlike the others, angular, metallic, clearly not of Liriani design. What is this? John whispered. Another human ship. It crashed here 50 Earth years ago. John approached the vessel cautiously. It was an older model exploration craft, partially buried in the ground and covered with the silver moss. The hatch was sealed, but the ship appeared largely intact. The pilot? John asked. Zara's markings dimmed. Did not survive the crash. The elders studied him. Then they sealed this place and declared it forbidden. John's blood ran cold. Studied? They did not understand human biology. They were curious. Zara seemed genuinely regretful. This was before my birth. I only learned of it recently, from old records. John tried the ship's hatch. To his surprise, it opened with a groan of metal. Inside, the ship was dusty but preserved. The control panels were dead, but many components looked salvageable. This could have the parts one need, John said, excitement building. If I can transfer the power core to my ship. A sound from outside interrupted him. Zara's markings flashed in alarm. Guards, she whispered. They patrol here occasionally. We must hide. They squeezed into a small maintenance compartment as footsteps approached the ship. Through a small gap, John could see 2 tall Liriani examining the open hatch. Someone has been here, one said, markings flashing rapidly. The human. Or Zara again, the other replied. The elder was right to suspect her. If she helps the human learn our secrets, then both must be dealt with. Immediately. The guards moved away, continuing their patrol. John and Zara remained hidden, barely breathing. They know about you, John whispered. My fascination with humans was noticed. I accessed restricted archives about your kind. Zara's markings pulsed with fear. We must hurry. If they report this, the elders will move against you sooner. John began examining the old ship more thoroughly. If we can salvage these components tonight, I might get my ship running by morning. I'll help, Zara said, but first, you must continue our exchange. Tell me more human stories. About courage, about facing fear. John looked at her quizzically. Is that really important right now? More than you know. Her markings formed patterns John hadn't seen before. Each new emotion, each story strengthens me against our elders' influence. They can sense thoughts, control minds, but only of those who think as Liriani do. Your human concepts create protection. John understood then. By sharing human culture, he was giving Zara mental shields against her own people. All right, he said, beginning to remove components from the old ship. Let me tell you about human heroes, about people who stood up against impossible odds. As they worked through the night, John told stories of human courage and determination. With each tale, Zara's movements became more confident, her markings brighter. By dawn, they had gathered what they needed. As they prepared to leave, Zara touched John's arm, the first physical contact she had initiated. Now I understand what you meant by touch, John said. Zara's markings pulsed. No, John. You still don't understand what touch truly means to my kind. But you will soon. The ominous tone in her voice made John pause as they slipped back toward the settlement. He had what he needed to repair his ship, but he couldn't shake the feeling that Zara wasn't telling him everything. What did touch really mean to the Liriani? And would he survive long enough to find out? The morning light filtered through the strange trees as John and Zara hurried back to his damaged spacecraft. John carried the salvaged parts in a makeshift bag, constantly looking over his shoulder for any sign of Liriani guards. We must hurry, Zara whispered, her skin patterns flashing with urgency. The elders meet at midday. If they discover what we've done. John nodded, increasing his pace. The weight of the salvaged engine components made his shoulders ache, but fear drove him forward. His ship came into view through the purple foliage, still untouched as Zara had promised. Good, John said, relief washing over him. Let's get these parts installed. They worked quickly, John directing Zara on how to help. Her slender fingers were surprisingly dexterous, able to reach places in the engine that John couldn't. As they worked, John couldn't help but notice how Zara's skin pattern seemed to change whenever their hands brushed accidentally. You keep doing that, John said, pointing to the ripple of light across her forearm. What does it mean? Zara pulled her arm back quickly. It is nothing. A reaction to proximity. Is that what you meant by touch? Physical contact. She shook her head. Not just physical. For Liriani, touch means sharing of essence. She seemed to struggle finding the right words. Your human concept might be sharing of souls. John raised his eyebrows. That sounds serious. It is most sacred. It happens only once in a Liriani life. She turned back to the engine components. No one has touched me this way. I have waited for something different. John wanted to ask more, but a distant sound caught his attention. Someone's coming, he whispered, ducking down behind the ship. Zara's skin patterns dimmed almost to invisibility as she pressed herself against the hull. 3 Liriani emerged from the trees, moving with purpose toward the ship. Their skin patterns were sharp and aggressive, unlike Zara's flowing rhythms. Guards, Zara breathed. And that one in front is Nexer, chief enforcer for the elders. Nexer was taller than the others, his blue skin darker and his movements more rigid. He circled the ship slowly, examining the ground. The human has been working on the vessel, Nexer announced, his voice deep and resonant. Find him. The elders want him brought to the temple immediately. What about Zara? One guard asked. Nexer's skin flashed with harsh patterns. She has betrayed our ways. If she is helping the human, she must be cleansed of the corruption. The guards spread out, beginning to search the area. John and Zara remained frozen behind the ship, barely breathing. We need a distraction, John whispered. Zara's eyes widened. I can create one, but it will reveal my betrayal completely. There will be no going back. Is there another way? She shook her head. Stay here. When they follow me, finish the repairs. Your ship's weapon system, is it functional? Basic defenses, yes, John confirmed. Good. You may need them. Before John could stop her, Zara slipped away, moving silently through the underbrush. Moments later, a brilliant flash of light erupted from the far side of the clearing. John had to shield his eyes from its intensity. When he looked again, he saw Zara standing in the open, her entire body blazing with patterns more complex than any he had seen before. Nexer, she called out. I have what you seek. The chief enforcer spun around, his skin flashing with shock. Zara. What have you done? I have learned the truth. The elders have lied to us for generations. Her voice carried across the clearing with surprising strength. Humans are not our enemies. Nexer advanced toward her, the other guards falling in behind him. You have been corrupted by human thoughts. The elders warned this might happen. No, I have been freed by human stories. Zara began to back away, leading them from the ship. Our ancestors knew this. That's why the elders forbade contact. As the guards pursued Zara into the forest, John seized his opportunity. He worked frantically on the engine, connecting the salvaged power core and rerouting the damaged systems. The ship's computer flickered to life. System reboot in progress, it announced. Engine power at 42% capacity. That'll have to do, John muttered, sealing the engine compartment. He climbed into the cockpit and began the launch sequence. The ship hummed and vibrated as systems came online. Through the viewport, John could see no sign of Zara or the guards. Had she escaped? Or had they captured her? Just as the engines reached minimum launch capacity, a commotion erupted from the trees. Zara burst into the clearing, running at full speed toward the ship. Behind her, Nexer and at least a dozen more guards gave chase, some carrying what looked like weapons. John opened the ship's hatch. Zara. Hurry. She sprinted toward the ship, her skin blazing with light patterns that seemed almost desperate. One of the guards raised his weapon and fired. A pulse of energy struck the ground near Zara, sending her tumbling. Without thinking, John grabbed his own weapon and ran down the ramp. He fired several warning shots, forcing the guards to take cover. Reaching Zara, he helped her to her feet. Are you hurt? He asked. No, she gasped, leaning against him. But Nexer will not stop. He has called for the elder guards. They retreated to the ship as more energy pulses flew around them. Once inside, John sealed the hatch and rushed to the controls. The ship shuddered as it began to rise. They're trying to disable the engines, John said, noting the warning lights. We need to get out of range. Zara collapsed into the co-pilot seat, her skin patterns fading and flickering. John, there is something I must tell you before we leave. Can it wait? We're a little busy escaping right now. She shook her head, her expression grave. No. You must know. My request to be touched, it wasn't just about sharing stories. The ship lurched as an energy pulse hit its underside. John fought with the controls as Zara continued. The touch I seek would bind us, she said. In your terms, it would be like a marriage of minds. Permanent. Irreversible. John stared at her in shock. You wanted to permanently bond with me? A complete stranger. Not with just any human, Zara explained, her patterns forming complex shapes. With one who could understand us. Help us. The old prophecies spoke of such a union. Prophecies? What prophecies? Before she could answer, a massive energy beam struck the ship, sending system alerts blaring throughout the cockpit. The ship spun wildly before John could stabilize it. We're losing power. John shouted over the alarms. The core is destabilizing. Zara's eyes widened. Then there is only one way. She reached out, placing her hands on either side of John's face. Do you trust me, John Miller? Enough to let me touch you as no Liriani has ever touched a human. The ship shuddered again, more violently this time. The ground below was getting dangerously close. We're going to crash, John said, still fighting the controls. Answer me. Zara demanded, her skin blazing with light so bright it hurt to look at her. Do you trust me enough for true touch? With alarms blaring and the ship plummeting toward the surface, John made his decision. Yes, he said. Do it. Zara's hands began to glow against his skin. The sensation was unlike anything John had ever experienced, like electricity and warmth and 1,000 whispered secrets all at once. And then everything changed. The world exploded into light. John felt as if his mind had been torn open and filled with stars. Images flooded his consciousness, ancient Liriani cities, strange ceremonies under triple moons, generations of knowledge passed down through patterns of light. And through it all, Zara's presence, her essence intertwining with his own. In that moment, John understood everything. The Liriani weren't just communicating through their light patterns, they were sharing their very consciousness. And now, Zara had connected with him in the most intimate way possible for her species. As suddenly as it began, the experience ended. John gasped for breath, finding himself still in the pilot's seat. But something was different. His hands moved across the controls with new purpose, inputting commands he shouldn't have known. What did you do to me? He asked, watching in amazement as his fingers worked seemingly of their own accord. Zara slumped back in her seat, her skin patterns dim and slow. I shared everything. My knowledge is now yours. The ship stopped its deadly descent and stabilized, hovering above the treetops. Energy beams continued to fire from below, but John somehow knew exactly how to evade them. I can fly this ship like I've done it for years, John said in wonder. I know exactly which systems to reroute, which protocols to override. Yes, Zara confirmed weakly. The touch transfers knowledge completely. But it takes great energy. John glanced at her with concern. Her normally vibrant blue skin had faded to a pale gray. Are you all right? What's happening to you? The first touch drains the giver, she explained. I will recover, but we must escape now. The elders are coming. Through the viewport, John could see a large group of Liriani emerging from an ornate structure in the distance. Their skin patterns blazed with what he now recognized as anger and fear. At their center was an ancient-looking Liriani whose patterns were so complex and bright they were painful to look at. The High Elder, Zara whispered. He can destroy us with a thought if he reaches us. With his newfound knowledge, John expertly piloted the ship upward, breaking through the atmosphere. The ship shuddered but held together as they accelerated away from the planet. We made it, John breathed, checking the navigation system. I can set a course for the nearest human outpost. Zara didn't respond. When John turned to her, he saw her skin had grown paler still, her patterns barely visible. Zara. Stay with me. He reached for her hand, feeling it cold in his grip. What's happening? I thought you said you would recover. Her eyes opened slowly. I will, but there is more you must know. The touch was not just for escape. What do you mean? Our species is dying, John. Not from disease, but from isolation. Her voice was barely audible. The elders have led us down a path of stagnation. They fear outside influence so much they've cut us off from the galaxy, from new ideas. Through their connection, John could sense the truth of her words. He saw generations of Liriani becoming more rigid, less creative, their once vibrant civilization slowly fading. The prophecy, he remembered. You mentioned a prophecy. Zara nodded weakly. Our ancient texts speak of renewal through connection with star travelers. Some of us believe this meant contact with other species, particularly humans. Others, the elders, interpreted it as a warning to avoid outsiders. And you believe I'm part of this prophecy? John asked skeptically. I don't know, she admitted. But I do know what I felt when I first saw you. A possibility. A chance for something new. The ship's computer interrupted them. Warning, multiple vessels detected in pursuit. Liriani origin. John checked the sensors. 3 sleek ships were rising from the planet's surface, moving faster than should have been possible for a species that supposedly feared space travel. The Elder Guard's secret fleet, Zara explained, seeing his confusion. Built from studying crashed alien ships over centuries. Only used in the gravest emergencies. Like when someone steals their prophecy? John asked with a grim smile. Like when they fear change so much they would destroy it, Zara corrected. John assessed their options. His ship was damaged, low on power, and vastly outmatched. Yet through his connection with Zara, he had access to knowledge about Liriani technology that no human had ever possessed. I think I can modify our communications array, he said, working rapidly at the console. Create a feedback loop that will disrupt their navigation systems. Zara watched him work, her color slowly returning. You understand our technology already. The touch was stronger than I expected. Well, I was always a quick study, John replied, focusing on the task. There, that should do it. He activated the modified system. A pulse of energy spread outward from their ship. On the sensors, the pursuing vessels faltered, their formation breaking apart as they struggled to maintain control. It worked. John exclaimed. We've bought some time. Enough to reach open space, Zara agreed. Beyond our system, the elders will not follow. They fear the unknown too much. As they put distance between themselves and the Liriani ships, John had time to process everything that had happened. The connection with Zara had changed him. He could feel her thoughts at the edges of his consciousness, not controlling but present. This bond between us, he said slowly. It's permanent, isn't it? Zara's skin patterns formed shapes that John somehow knew meant both sadness and hope. Yes. I'm sorry I didn't explain fully before. It was selfish of me. Why did you choose me? Really? She was quiet for a moment. Because you told stories. You shared without fear. Our people have forgotten how to do that. Her patterns shifted to something warmer. And because I sensed in you a kindness that matched your curiosity. John wasn't sure how to feel. He hadn't asked for this permanent connection with an alien woman, yet he couldn't deny the wonder of it, having access to an entirely new perspective, a new way of experiencing the universe. What happens now? He asked. I need to return to Earth, report what happened. I understand, Zara said, her patterns showing acceptance. Will your people welcome me? John thought about humanity's long history of fear and fascination with alien life. It won't be easy. But your knowledge of Liriani technology could be valuable. And he hesitated, I think they should hear about the touch. About connection between different species. You would share our most sacred tradition with others. If we don't, what was the point of all this? John gestured between them. The prophecy, the escape, this bond, it's all about bringing different worlds together, isn't it? For the first time since they'd met, Zara smiled, not just with her patterns but with her face, in a surprisingly human expression. Perhaps you understand the prophecy better than my people ever did. As the ship cleared the Liriani system and entered open space, John set course for the nearest human outpost. The stars stretched before them, full of possibility. You asked if I could satisfy you, John said, recalling their first conversation. Did I? Zara's skin illuminated with patterns John now recognized as joy. You gave me what no one else could, a new perspective, a new future. So yes, John Miller of Earth, you have satisfied me. And this is just the beginning. The ship accelerated into the darkness, carrying with it a connection that spanned species, cultures, and worlds, a touch that might one day change everything.